When you truly see that life is hard and that challenge is simply woven into the fabric of existence, something softens. It stops feeling like such a personal attack. In that moment, you begin to notice this. These difficulties don't show up because the universe is against you. They appear as mirrors, reflecting back your energy and the assumptions you've been living from. So what does that really mean? If you're only here as a personality, as a mind trying to figure everything out, this might not sound very logical. It's completely normal if your mind says, "I don't fully understand what you're saying." Because the part that's meant to understand this isn't the mind. You can only feel it with the side of you that vibrates on the same frequency as these words, the part that resonates. The mind questions, your heart and awareness quietly whisper, "I already know this." That's why if you're simply sitting here listening and something inside you feels quietly good, the process is already working. There's a piece within you made of the same essence as what's being spoken that is waking up and answering. And honestly, that's all that's needed. This path doesn't unfold just by collecting more spiritual knowledge. Sometimes an intellectual understanding shows up as a side effect, but that's not what carries you. The real transformation is the shift in your frequency. The knowledge comes afterward. In a way, this journey is not about building a mental library, but about stepping into inner surrender. Instead of believing you have to know everything, what you truly need is the courage to not know. The courage to embrace the state of "I don't know yet." Think about those moments when you walk outside, go to work, or move around your home without trying to analyze every little thing you see. In those instances, you no longer know in the old familiar way, yet there is a much deeper awareness present. From that state, you stop weighing every scene as right or wrong and start reading it as, "What is this showing me about my energy?" Choosing to live inside that space, to accept it, to risk staying there, to allow yourself not to know, opens room for entirely new assumptions to be born. While I write this text, and now as I speak it to you, I'm not forcing each sentence from my mind, because it isn't only me talking. Yes, I prepare the main outline beforehand, but I don't calculate every single line in advance. The words rise on their own from that quiet guidance within. Inside the state of not knowing, a deeper form of knowing opens beyond concepts. It isn't mental or theoretical knowledge, it's a knowing that exists outside of concepts altogether. And wisdom appears precisely there. This is the space where you intuitively grasp the law of attraction and the law of assumption and begin to ask from within, which reality am I choosing now? We have a very special word for this, wisdom. Wisdom emerges from exactly this place. It lives far deeper than intelligence. There are countless people in the world who are incredibly smart, yet carry almost no true wisdom inside. And that can be a very dangerous combination. When a person develops only their analytical mind and never connects it to the guidance of wisdom, the result is chaos. Much of the confusion we see in the world today is rooted in this. The mind calculates. Wisdom sees where the energy is actually flowing. People who try to live by polishing only the mind, without ever connecting to depth, are not just a risk to the world, they become a risk to themselves. Because that path often ends in an inner collapse, a kind of quiet madness. When you try to carry loads that the mind alone was never meant to hold, without the support of the heart and awareness, it slowly exhausts you. What we're really talking about here is an extraordinary journey, consciousness waking up to itself. And what could be more beautiful than feeling that you are part of that? You are not just a short-lived body and a temporary identity. You are the very awareness that is waking up through them. You are the universe opening its eyes. This is the evolutionary awakening of consciousness. You are not just a little human. You are far deeper than that. In truth, it's the whole universe that is awakening, and you are one living expression of that awakening. And as a natural side effect of this, the experience you call life becomes more bearable, and over time, even more enjoyable. That's simply what awakening does. Yes, from the inside, everything starts to feel lighter. But that doesn't mean nothing ever happens anymore. Life will still bring you events, challenges, and unexpected turns. That's how this dimension is built. Here's the secret. Difficulties are not working against you. They are contrasts working with you. There is no level where all difficulty disappears forever, because without contrast, it becomes harder to see what you're choosing and which frequency you're shifting into. Awakening happens precisely as you move through these challenges and keep asking again and again, which reality am I assuming right now? In the early stages, when pain and pressure feel intense, it can seem as if these difficulties are only adding more weight on your shoulders. Then, slowly, that weight begins to dissolve. The heaviness of the pain softens, and space opens up for awakening. If life hadn't brought you these initiations, neither you would be here listening, nor I would be here speaking these words. Every scene is like a passage preparing you for your next version. And it's important to see this. As you awaken spiritually, the challenges won't completely vanish. What changes is not their existence, but your relationship with them. At a certain point, when difficulties arrive, a part of you almost greets them with a quiet welcome, because you recognize them as an inevitable and necessary part of existing in this realm, and as an invitation to choose a new assumption. This understanding is expressed very clearly in that classic book, The Road Less Traveled. It opens with a simple sentence: "Life is difficult." It's a short line, but profoundly true. And then, in essence, it says something like this: if you truly accept that life is difficult, and that difficulty is part of its very nature, it stops feeling so unbearable. Because you move out of the resistance of "this shouldn't be happening" and into the space of "what is this showing me and what do I choose now?" Right there, you stop treating every event as a fixed punishment handed down by fate, and you begin to experience it as a scene where you can shift your energy. From that point on, life no longer appears as a burden working against you, but as a creative field, reflecting back your new assumptions and choices right alongside you. So what is this really saying? The reason that sentence has been quoted for so many years is because some part of us already recognizes its truth. When I first heard it, I could feel that it wasn't just a pessimistic statement about life. It was a much deeper invitation. The real key here is not to wear life is difficult, like a permanent label stamped on your back, but to start seeing difficulty as a teacher that is not against you, but actually working with you. When you begin to look at it this way, the scenes where you ask, "Why is this happening?" start to reveal themselves as reminders, calling you back to your awareness, your choices, and your creative power. When you truly realize that life is difficult, that challenge and tests are an inseparable part of existing in this world, something in you lets out a small sigh of relief. Oh, of course it's hard. That's what we call life. And in that exact moment, the inner resistance that rises every time a new challenge appears begins to loosen. You no longer feel the urge to react with, "Another one? I can't take this anymore." You don't feel the need to declare war on every situation with, "I'll beat this too, I'll conquer this as well." Because now you understand this scene is feedback on your energy. Instead of fighting your resistance, you can shift into a new reality feeling by changing your assumption. After a while, you reach a level of acceptance where you can say, "Okay, life includes difficulty, but each difficulty is a space where I get to choose my energy again." These challenges can show up in countless forms. Sometimes it's as small as a tiny bug wandering across your bed, just like what happened to me last night. Sometimes it comes as massive waves, but they're all pieces of the same whole. When you can say, "This too is part of the nature of things, and it's working with me," life stops feeling as heavy as it used to. Because you no longer see yourself as a victim of events, you begin to see yourself as a partner in creation. Life really only becomes unbearable when certain thoughts are running the show. "This shouldn't have happened. Why is this happening to me again? Why always me?" From the outside, it often looks like everyone else is doing fine. On the street, at work, at school, on social media, people smile, say, "I'm good," and act as if their lives are flowing smoothly and effortlessly. But when you look a little closer, you see that everyone is carrying their own burdens, questions, and fears. No one is truly the only one with problems. Each person is simply moving through their own scenes, their own inner journey. That's why it's so important to live this season of your life, this phase of awakening, with as much awareness as you can. Let yourself taste the experience. That way, you're not just in what looks like an outer retreat from the world. You're also stepping into a genuine inner retreat, pulling back from your old self, your automatic reactions, and your familiar stories. Right there, the assumption, the universe is not against me, everything is working with me, so I can step into a higher version of myself, slowly begins to settle into your body. If something in what I've shared feels familiar to you, know that you're not alone. The universe is not against you. Every scene you're living right now is collaborating with you, helping you cross the bridge to your next version. If you'd like to keep transforming your energy, your assumptions, and your inner story together on this journey, you can like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. That way, every new meditation and guidance I share can find you right at the moment you need it most. When you're ready, you can move on to the next video and deepen the assumption that the universe is working with me. The energy began within you, and now it's rippling out into every part of your life.